Greetings, my friend, and welcome to the broadcast today. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome once again. And I pray that you will consider watching this video through its duration and subscribe to the channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome and thank you for stopping by once again. I also pray that you too will continue to watch this broadcast through its duration and leave a comment. Leave a comment and share this video. For both my subscribers and new visitors, share the video with someone who you think this video would be a blessing to. I would appreciate it. And also, why don't we like the video? Liking the video, that also would be appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm here today to do this broadcast about the book of Haggai. And I'll be doing part 2 because I started by doing a part 1 where I shared my encounter with the minor prophet Haggai through a prophetic dream that the Lord showed me or gave me. And you can certainly go and look through my playlist. I'll also be putting a link here that would take you to that broadcast. You can go also to the playlist and look for the broadcast about Haggai part 1. And also on my videos, you'll see there. So today I'm going to be sharing and ministering on Haggai chapter 1. It has 3 parts, and I'll be addressing each part. Part 1 of Haggai chapter 1 talks about where the Lord's house was neglected, and he sent a call out through the prophet Haggai for his house, for his temple to be rebuilt. And part 2 talks about where he actually had the prophet spoke. He spoke through the prophet. Build my house. And so the main emphasis of Haggai chapter 1 is verse 7 and verse 8. And I've already gone through, the authorship of the book of Haggai. I've gone through the theme. I've gone through the time frame where this was happening. And also I've gone through, of course, I've just shared with you the key verse. And so if you watch that video, you'll be able to gather that information. But I will touch on it as I go through this particular chapter. And the third and final part of the book of Haggai is where the people started the work. They started to work on the house of the Lord. So it's really interesting. And, as I go through it, just see where you find yourself in this. Because, we can apply this to our very own lives and even the season that we're in now. And so I'll be going on to a part 3 where I will also be ministering on Haggai chapter 2. And so let's begin. I'm going to be reading from the King James Version, starting with verse 1 In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Hosdek, the high priest. Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, that's in verse 2 now, saying, this people say, the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Verse 3, then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? And in verse 4 it says, in verse 5 rather, because I just went over verse 4. Now therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much, and bring in little, ye eat. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag of holes. Wow. And that's the first part of Haggai, chapter 1. And I've just read verse 1 through 6. And so in the King James Version now, it goes like this from verse 1 through 6. In the second year of King Darius, on the first day of the 6th month, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai to Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest. This is what the Lord Almighty says. These people say, the time has not yet come for the Lord's house to be built. Then the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai. Is it a time for you yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains a ruin? Now this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. You have planned much, but have harvest little. You eat, but never have enough. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages, only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Wow, 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 my friend. Now, some of you must be really wondering here because of particularly the last verse of all that you guys might be doing, but there could be holes in your purses from what this is saying here. You know, these people had planted much, they did all this. But let me just back up. Now, according to the NIV, which I've just read here, let me just give you an overview of what the NIV version has to say about these particular verses. Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, and Joshua, the high priest, were key leaders, my friend, in rebuilding the temple. They had already established the altar, but work on the temple had slowed down. So Haggai basically gave a message to these outstanding leaders. Mind you, they were outstanding leaders, and to the exiles who had returned from Babylon, encouraging them to complete the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem. And so the Jews who had returned from Babylon in the time of 538 BC to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem were not able to finish their work. And so this was because they were hindered by their enemies. Wow, wow. Isn't this sounding real to you, like in your life, in our times, of being in ministry or being a part of, the church? I don't know, whatever your role was in church, you know, haven't you seen where the enemy might have been fighting outrageously? Well, same thing happened here, and they just did not finish the work. And so after opposition, um, this put a halt to the progress. So no further work had been done on the temple for over 10 years. And so, 10 years for them might have gone really fast, because when you're in the midst of doing, church, you kind of like lose touch of what the details that you ought to be doing, detail really important things that are there that needs to be done. Many persons just get busy doing church and not paying attention to what really needs to be addressed or be taken care of. And so this was again in 520 BC. So, 10 years. Wow. So in August 520 BC, Haggai delivered a message to encourage the people to rebuild the temple. And Haggai was probably now born in captivity and in, of course, Babylon. And he returned to Jerusalem with Zerubbabel in 538 BC. And you can find this in the book of Ezra, chapter 1, verse 2. Now, Haggai and Zechariah, two prophets, okay, encouraged the temple rebuilding. And they're also mentioned in Ezra chapter 5, verse 1. And you can go during your own study time and take a look at these particular scriptures in the book of Ezra. And so, moving on, Haggai encouraged the people to finish rebuilding the temple. And so when he did that, opposition from hostile neighbors, my friend, had caused them to flee and to get discouraged and to neglect the temple and thus neglect God. But Haggai's message turned them around and motivated them to pick up their tools and to continue the work they had begun. And so, doesn't that happen just in life when you're trying to do this and that, and then the next thing you've just got to just put it down. You can't finish it. You have to address something else. You have to go to work every day. You've got to pay the bills. You've got, and so because of that, you're not able to do this thing here that's very important, that thing there that's very important. And so it will sit there sometimes for years. And so God asked his people how they could live in luxury when his house was lying there in ruins. He asked them a question that would cause them to think, my friend. And so the temple was the focal point of Judah's relationship with God, but it was still demolished. Instead of rebuilding the temple, the people put their energies into building or into beautifying their own homes. And so, however, the harder the people worked as they were doing that, the harder they worked for themselves, the less they had. And because they ignored, my friend, the their spiritual lives, the same happens, of course, to many today. Isn't that the truth? The same thing happens to many in today's modern world, today's modern Christianity. um, the same happens. And so it's just interesting, you know. If we put God first, He will provide for our deepest needs. Know that. He will. And so, if we put Him in any other place, my friend, all our efforts will be futile. Know that. So, caring only for your physical needs while ignoring your relationship with God will lead to total ruin, my friend. Know that. And so, now in verse 6, because the people had not given God His first place in their lives, their work was not fruitful, neither was it productive, and their material possessions did not satisfy. I know I'm speaking to somebody today. So while they were concentrating on building and beautifying their own homes, God's blessings was withheld. Oh, His blessings was withheld while they were busy beautifying their own homes. Oh my goodness, Lord, have mercy. Because um, they had no longer put Him in first place. They had no longer put Him in first place. And so Moses had predicted that this would be the result if the people neglected God. And we can find that in Deuteronomy 28, verse 38 to 45. And so, my friend, this is basically, in a nutshell, what's going on between verse 1 and verse 6 of Haggai. You know, where do you fit in this scenario? Talk to me. Where do you fit in this scenario? You know, I can go into the verses and dissect it even more and break it down. Verse 2, this is what the Lord Almighty says. These people say, the time has not yet come for the Lord's house to be built. This is what the people are saying, you know, and we could hear these conversations here and there in today's modern society, in the circle of churchgoers, in the circle of Christendom. We can hear these conversations. Oh, you know, we've been hearing that He's going to come for so many years, and so we have time. And, you know, you hear those conversations. in this modern time. And so in verse 3, then the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai. Is it a time for yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains a ruin? And so persons will have a house that's in immaculate condition, but they're attending a church where it's in ruins. And so you see where it's just not measuring up, right? And so you'll even have leaders living in, ministerial leaders living in mansions. On the other hand, where they worship or where they're leading is in shambles. And so I've been in those arenas where I've seen that. And the Holy Spirit is just grieved. He's grieved because why is it that his house is in shambles? Why? And so, verse 4. Is it a time? I did read verse 4. Sorry. Verse 5. Now, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. You have planted much, but have harvested little. Oh, you eat, but never have enough. Oh, what do you think this is? Remember Deuteronomy 26, verse 38 to 45. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages, only to put them in a purse with holes. Oh my goodness. Does this sound like because they're not doing or paying attention to the house of God, they could be coming into a curse because God might not be releasing the blessings in their lives because his house is being neglected. So they're working, and the money's falling through holes in their purses. And, my friend, the Bible does not lie. And so these people here, they are busy planting much, but in their planting, they're harvesting little. Whatever they're doing, they're not seeing the full rewards or reaping the benefits of their hard work. Do you feel sometimes that you're going to work and you're just not making enough money? It's like your bills keep increasing and you seem like you're living from paycheck to paycheck. Oh my goodness. Dangerous. You eat, but never have enough. Some people might be in that situation, right now, right this very minute. You drink, but never have your fill. Again, some people might be in this very position. You put on your clothes, but you're not warm. My friend, you earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes. The Bible, when the word is ministered, it just cuts like a double-edged sword, does it not? Oh, Lord. And so that covers this first part of Haggai. Now I'm going to talk about the second portion of Haggai where God says, build my house. Build my house. And so in verse 7, it says, thus saith the Lord. I'm reading now the King James Version. Consider your ways. We have to really consider. Even what I've read thus far, we have to consider it, correct? Yes. You have to consider it, my friend. And so, verse 8 says, go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord. So he wants attention to be paid to his house. He wants the people to glorify him. He wants their time. He wants them to pay attention. And he will be glorified. He'll be glorified. That's what he wants. And so, verse 8, ye look for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith the Lord of hosts? Because of mine house, he says, that is waste. And ye run every man unto his own house. So these people are paying attention to their house. They're more interested in their houses, not in God's house. You know, therefore, the heaven, he says, over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. So there's no moisture or wetness or dampness to the earth, because the heaven is not releasing the dew, the moisture, the whatever the earth needs to be fruitful. That's basically what it's saying. And so you're not able to see the fruitfulness of your labor. These people were not able to see the fruitfulness of their labor, my friend. And so in the King James Version, okay, let me make sure that okay, let me just finish verse 11 before I go to the NIV version. In verse 11 it says, and I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the old, and up on and up on that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the land, of the hands, rather. So, I mean, the Lord called a drought upon all these things that I've just mentioned. Now, what if the Lord would do that to us? And do you think, I think that he's doing it to some people. Think about it. Think about what's going on, you know? Try to find where you fit in this message, my friend. Now, I'm going to get into the King James, to the NIV version now of this particular section. Verse 7. This is what it says in the NIV. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. Go up into the mountains and bring down timber and build the house, so that I may take pleasure in it and be honored. He wants to be glorified. He wants to be honored. He loves that. That's what he lives for, to be honored by his people, to be glorified by his people. And I will be honored, says the Lord. You expected much But see, it turned out to be little. What you brought, what you brought home, I blew away. Why? Declares the Lord Almighty. Because of my house, which remains a ruin, while each of you is busy in your own house. Therefore, because of you, the heavens have withheld their dew, and the earth its crops. I called for a drought on the fields and the mountains, on the grains, the new wine, the oil, and whatever the ground produces, O men, and cat on men, on cattle, and on the labor of your hands. So God is not playing. Did you not see certain things happen during the pandemic? Everybody was busy, 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 running here, running there, doing this, doing that, taking care of their business, trying to climb up the corporate ladder, trying to run their business. Everybody going to school, going to colleges, trying to get promotion, this, that, and everything else. And then one virus, one pandemic, everything stalled. Every God stopped and bowed to the great and mighty God of Abraham. And because of that, we were locked in our homes so that we had the time now to really consider ourselves, like it says here in Haggai. Give careful thought to your ways and spend time with God. Give him time, reading the word, get in your prayer closet, communicate with him. He's our creator, he's our God. So he actually is in total control of this world, this earth, your life, whether you want to accept it or believe it or not. Did he not stop us? I mean, he could have made us keep going on and on. He's in total control. He's in total control. He wants our attention. He's doing the same thing right here with these people in this message. Same thing. We're busy. We're not paying attention to God. We're not paying attention to his house. We're not paying attention to, we're just not paying attention to our spiritual life. We just don't have any time. And God is saying, no, no, it's not going to work. I'm going to get you. And so a lot of people, because of this, since this pandemic, a lot of people have given their lives to the Lord. To God be the glory. I mean, it was what it took for the human race to stop and give their spiritual life some thought and their creator some time. Even those folks in India, they turned from those idol gods, many of them, and turned to the true and living God during this pandemic. My God, God is great. He's awesome and powerful. All right, now, are you ready for some more? Okay, let's move on, my friend. King James Version, we're going to go on to verse 11. Well, first off, let me see here. Let me dissect and see what the NIV has to say about. I basically broke it down, but I want to share with you what the NIV has interpreted here. So we're going to look at 7 through 11 in the NIV, their interpretation. Okay. Judah's problem was confused priorities. Like Judah, our priorities involving occupation, family, and God's work are often confused. Jobs, homes, vacations, and leisure activities may rank higher on our list of importance than God. There it is. What is most important to you, my friend? What is it that's most